Day 65. What to talk about today? I kind of knew that today I wasn't going to know what to say. And I think for us light workers, so much is just becoming so comfortable with the unknown, with not knowing. And that's really when when we are open to grace the most, is when we are okay with not knowing in the moments. And I've noticed when we don't know, there's two places we can go. We can either go to fear, which is contraction, and when we contract and grab onto fear and choose that path, what we're doing is we're choosing an old pattern. We're choosing our karma and our conditioning. But the unknown, every moment you're in the unknown is a choice for something different. So we can choose the old pattern if that still serves us. No judgment. Sometimes we need to choose that. Or we could choose something different. We could choose to be trusting in the moment of not knowing. We can choose to be open and receptive to the unknown, and we can allow source to guide us. We can allow the intelligence of life to flow through us and to guide our movement. And this is hard for the thinking mind, because the thinking mind always wants a sure thing. And you know what? The old pattern is a sure thing. Your old karma, your old conditioning is a sure thing. You know what's going to happen. And it may be painful, it may be limiting, it may not be authentic, it may not even be your truth. But for the mind, that's okay, because at least it knows what's going to happen. And that is all the mind ever wants, is to just know that it's going to be okay. Or not even that it's going to be okay, just to know what's going to happen. But when we allow the divine into our lives, when we allow the intelligence of life to flow through in a spontaneous moment-to-moment way, the mind at first has such difficulty with that because it just doesn't know. It just doesn't know what's going to happen. And especially our first few times of really surrendering into the present moment, into the unknown, into being receptive to the intelligence of life, that's when it's going to be the hardest for the mind. Like the old pattern is B energy, like I was talking about the other day: control, force, manipulate, self-preservation, hang on to what we got. The new energy, A energy, is allowing, letting go, trusting, knowing that the moment always is going to provide everything that you ever need, whether that's something that you need to say, like I'm doing right now in front of the camera, or something that you need to do for your path. And today it was really fascinating how much I could feel in my meditation is still B energy and is still so afraid of A energy. Like in my meditations, for example, how I will just open to receiving, and I can feel it in my body right now. Sometimes this B energy just keeps climbing up. It's like this old DNA that is just like, or these old patterns that are like, clinging for life. And when we open and we come into the receiving mode and we just stay there for long enough, we can feel all this old stuff come up that is so afraid of presence, that is so afraid of grace, that is so afraid of the intelligence of life flowing through. It's like our cells and our bodies, have become so addicted to these limiting patterns based in lack and fear. And we've been so fucking programmed so thoroughly with lack and fear that it can be really kind of a frustrating thing at times to be letting go of all of that, the B energies, the choosing the fear, choosing the old patterns. And to know that we're so afraid of abundance, right? And the thing is we've seen power so misused in our life that we are like almost feel guilty for having it. We almost feel ashamed for our own power. But the thing is if we light workers, if we don't embrace our power right now, if we don't open ourselves to abundance and energy and receiving and living our heart and our inspiration, if we don't do that, then this planet won't ascend the way it needs to ascend. Like, now is the time to embrace your power, to embrace, because here's the thing, your power, it's not going to be used to manipulate and for domination over others and for control, right? Or to dominate the enemy. Like, we've seen it so misused in our lives. No, your power is coming through the heart, coming through love, coming through the betterment of all, service to the one, right? Service to others. And this is the power we need to harness right now. This is the power that needs to be unearthed within you, and you need to let this power come through you in everything that you do. And I know it can be difficult because the mind has that warped view of power, right? Because we've just seen it so abused. One thing that's interesting is I can always feel in my mind when it's trying to grab onto something that I had thought about previously, but it's just not there anymore. And it's really fascinating. Like, that's an indication that I'm not trusting in that moment, and that I'm not willing to let what wants to come through in that moment come through. Instead, I'm trying to grab onto something that I've already thought about for safety, right? Because, you know, if and we can all just do this, if we all just relax our bodies and open ourselves, there's always something that wants to come through. There's always something there, and it's like that something that's trying to come through can sometimes find resistance and conflict and like a barrier, because those B energies, those old energies of lack and fear are there trying to resist that, because they're so afraid of that coming through because of what that will mean, of what type of evolution and of consciousness of self that would mean. And that's so much about why we resist our power too, because oh my gosh, we know what that would mean. We know we would have to become so much more abundant in all ways, and that feels like so much responsibility for the small self, for these limiting parts. That feels so scary, right? And if you're having a bunch of dark thoughts, this is an indication that you're suppressing your power. This came to me last night so deeply. I was just having some really dark thoughts, and I've been having them off and on lately, and of course there's a lot of collective purging going on, and that has something to do with it, where it's all one. But I was also realizing, like, wow, there's so much in me that is still resisting abundance and still feels unsafe with embracing my power and embracing my light. And so I will still cling to beliefs of unworthiness and not good enough. These beliefs of unworthiness, they will keep coming up. And what I'll do sometimes is I'll just be like, I'll just toss it to the side and like just keep going. But that's not what they need. They need love, they need an open embrace. And if we just keep pushing our unworthiness and we're not good enough away, if we keep pushing our power away, then that can start accumulating. Basically, that's just we're pushing our darkness away, our unworthiness, our not good enough, all this that we don't want to feel it. That darkness can get really dark, right? And then it can come up as really dark thoughts. And that's what I realized what was happening last night is I'm still suppressing my power. I'm still suppressing my darkness in some ways. And I'm still unwilling to fully harness my light and my power due to the fear of having to let go of these old patterns that have served me my whole life, that have kept me safe, right? At least given me the illusion of keeping me safe. And letting go of these old patterns that have given me the illusion of being safe would mean having to embrace something I don't know. I don't know what would happen, right? And that's scary for the old patterns that are dying, that are falling away, for the small self. And so, because it's so scary, sometimes I will still kind of cling to those old patterns and say, yes, let's stay small, let's stay safe. So when we do that, guess what, guys? We don't have a choice right now. That's what we're being told by higher conscious beings, by the planet, by our guides, by God, by the universe. Everything's telling us, guess what? Those old patterns are nice and they served you, sure. But we need you're ascending. You're going up, whether you like it or not. And that's the thing. All of our consciousnesses are going to be rising rapidly right now, whether we like it or not, whether we're comfortable with it or not. Those old patterns are falling away, whether we like it or not. But if we resist that movement, then we're going to get a lot of those dark thoughts. And so what I was doing yesterday with these dark thoughts is I was finally just saying, I know what you are. I know it's time for me to embrace my power. I know it's time for me to open to you with love. And I know it's time for me to get even more comfortable in the unknown, to get even more comfortable with shining my light and embracing my power. And those dark thoughts, and here's what I did before realizing that. I asked the dark thoughts, like this one particular dark thought just kept coming up and up and up. And it had been coming up for a few days, just like every now and then, all of a sudden I'd get I'm sure you've had this. There's this one dark thought you just hate, right? And every time it comes up, you like do something like this, or you contract and you're like, Jesus Christ, why? Oh, I just know you guys can relate to this. And so what I finally did, instead of doing that, I finally was like, okay, what do you want? I was talking to it like it was this aspect of me that had to take the form it was taking to get my attention, right? Because that's what these crazy intrusive dark thoughts are. They're just taking a certain form to get our attention. And so I was like, okay, you have my attention. What do you want? What is it you want? And I didn't get an answer right away. And it was as I was trying to fall asleep last night. So I just was laying there. And then all of a sudden, like, maybe I fell asleep and woke up or something. Maybe it was like an hour later. It came to me. Embrace your power. I am your power. Why are you not embracing your power? Why are you neglecting your duty in a sense? Like, why aren't you, fully embracing your darkness? Why aren't you embracing your darkness fully? Because you know your darkness is your power. And I know that the only reason you're scared of your darkness sometimes is because you're scared of your power. But look, I'm here to show you it's time. It's time for you to see me. It's time for you to embrace me, because it's time for you as a light worker to start shining your light as brightly as you can. And you cannot shine your light as brightly as you can if you're not embracing your darkness. There's no way around it. We have to embrace our darkness in order to shine our light. We cannot suppress it and just hope for it to go away. We cannot transcend it. We must embrace it. Because when we embrace it, we see that it is God too, that it is the light too, that it is all one. And that it's just here to serve us. It's here to be our, It's here to just balance us. Because if we're just so oriented and clinging to the light, we can fall into meekness and neediness and codependency. And we can just give our power to others. And we can be afraid we can start fearing the darkness, and making some illusionary type of separation between it all. But when we are anchored in our darkness, anchored in all the darkness that we fear, our anger, our fear, the hatred, when we can just let that up to be seen by Source, by our pure awareness, that's when everything's alchemizing and we're in balance and we're in harmony and we feel just rooted in our I amness. And that's when we feel safe to let go of the older patterns, because we know we are enough just in our I amness. Because the reason we cling to older patterns is because we think we need things out here to keep us feeling safe. Validation, love, approval. achievements, whatever. And we think if we're just to let go, that somehow we wouldn't be supported, and somehow everything we felt like we needed would just fall away. But the thing is, when we let go, we realize everything we think we needed that we were getting from those old patterns, it's all in here. It's always in here. And so when we finally embrace the unknown, that is why we feel grace more than ever, because it's when we embrace the unknown that we feel so filled up, so whole, so free to be who we truly are. And who we truly are doesn't need to know what's going to happen next. Who we truly are is the thing that happens next. There's no separation. It's only an illusion to think that who we really are needs something to happen next to be safe and to be, complete. No, who we really are is the thing that allows for the thing that's going to happen next. And we come to that realization that we're the source and creation of all of this. There's no separation between any of it. And that the old patterns aren't even real, and that those are just programs. And that we're here, as we embrace our power, we're here, the more we embrace our power, the more those programs fall away, and the more the truth of reality sets in. That we are life, that we are the intelligence of life, that we are the universe. And that there can't be anything but support and love for us when we know that, when we know ourselves as an extension of Source. And then we see, why would we want to know what was going to happen next? That's the joy of this reality. That's why we chose to come here, is for the unknown, is for the thrill of it, just the zest of creation and creating. And when we finally can embrace the unknown, it goes together. We embrace the unknown, we find it easier to embrace our power. When we embrace our power, we find it easier to embrace the unknown. And that's what's being asked of all of us right now. And so, yeah, that's the video today. That's what came through today. I guess I'll end you with just saying, I know it's hard to be open and in the receptive mode, because when we get in the receptive mode, a lot of unworthiness comes up, because now it has the space and the openness to be seen. And then so what will happen is it will come up and we'll kind of close down for a while again, right? And we might go into a story about the unworthiness and comparison and judgment. And then all of a sudden we're like, whoa, what am I doing? And then you open back up. And then it has the space to come up some more. And this is the movement of going from B energy to A energy. And I know that the B energies can be sticky and the A energies can be scary, but this is why we're here. This is this is fun. I mean, it is fun. It is kind of a trip, right? But yeah, we're all doing really great, and we just got to keep embracing our power, embracing our darkness, letting our light shine, and keep trusting the unknown, because we are the unknown. There's no separation. We are not the patterns of the known. Those are illusions. Those are not our identity, and that's not who we are. We are the unknown, and ever unfolding in every moment, unknown. Wow. Yeah. We are the unknown. So why would we, if we're afraid of the unknown, we're just saying we're afraid of ourselves. We're afraid of ourselves. Of course we are. We want the old patterns because those feel safer for some reason, right? Yeah, we're afraid of ourselves. Damn. Wow, I'm afraid of myself sometimes. Shit. That's why we close when we're receiving. We get afraid of ourselves. Man, it's like we're afraid of love, you know? We're afraid of love sometimes because that's what we are. If we're afraid of ourselves, we're afraid of love. And it's because we're identified as an old pattern of fear that we fear love. Because if we're identified as the old pattern of fear, we know that love is going to kill us, right? It's love that dissolves these old patterns of fear and lack and scarcity. And if we take ourselves to be the fear, lack, and scarcity, then of course we're going to be afraid of ourselves. That's it. We got it. I hope you stayed around this long. Yeah, damn. That's what it is. We are not those patterns. I'm seeing how much I still see myself as those patterns of lack and fear and unworthiness when they come up. Yeah. So that's what I'm going to work on doing, guys, is to not be afraid of myself, to not be afraid of love. All right. Day 65. I love you guys so much, and I will see you tomorrow. Namaste.